Welcome to another Coffee with Samso, where we speak with ASX companies about the stories and the guys who run those stories. Today we're back at the University Club here in Crawley at the University of Western Australia. And we have Robert Mosig here with us from Caeneus Minerals, who has a project up in the Pilbara chasing gold. Robert, welcome to Coffee with Samso.
Thank you very much, Noel.
Robert, it's look, Caeneus got a really interesting project in the Pilbara because obviously it's adjacent, or literally adjacent to the Hemi project, which is owned by De Grey. Maybe just give us an intro about yourself because you're a geo, and we have some common interests over the time. But yeah, just give us an intro about yourself, and then let's talk about the project.
It's actually refreshing, Noel, to see another ex-diamond geologist to talk with one. I cut my teeth in diamonds a little bit earlier than yourself, and on the same project, or in the early days of the Kimberley region, when I think De Beers didn't actually think that there was much chance for diamonds to be in that part of the world. So for my sins in those days, I ended up finding, along with Maureen Muggeridge and Chris Smith and Ewan Tyler, the first diamond that led to ultimately to the discovery of Argyle. So that was always something that's well in my heart, and mantle-derived mineralisation has always been very close as well, and I'll get on with that later as we talk. But from those early days, I looked at platinum, another mantle-derived mineral mineralisation, to look at Australia, and started a company called Helix Resources in the 80s, and from Helix focused essentially on platinum group metals, and then when Helix wished to move to gold, I started another company on the ASX, PGM, very good name, Platina Resources, which focused essentially worldwide for platinum group metals, and we had interesting projects like the Skaregard intrusion and opportunities in Namibia as well. And more recently, I left Platina Resources and came back to Western Australia, and a very close friend suggested I should have a look at Caeneus Minerals and their project in the Pilbara region. So that's a sort of a snapshot history, but yes, very much fond of the geology, and in the corporate life for a fair bit of time as a CEO, I think probably for the last 30 odd years.
And in our game, I guess there's the mining game, there's the exploration game, and I sort of fortunately or unfortunately been sort of in this sector. And I find it exciting in the sense that it's the discovery leading it, and the search, the chase of things here and there, and no more so than the diamond game, because the diamond game is 95% the search, right? And then when you find the pipe, it sort of just ends abruptly for the fun in that sense. And I think the Pilbara has been one of those newer frontier that we've grown to sort of understand in the last couple of years. But give us your project sits in the Pilbara, obviously, as we said, but maybe give us a rundown on all the projects you've got and where the focus is.
Look, I take exactly what you say about those early diamond days. Teamwork. It's not one person that finds it's a team that finds it. And in the Pilbara, I think this is clearly what we're looking at. One team, De Grey Mining, have done an exceptional job of persisting in exploration for gold over the region, the Pilbara region, the Mallina Basin in particular. And they've been going for over a decade, looking for the large gold deposit, the economic gold deposit. And CAD, Caeneus Resources, the ASX code, has been very fortunate in being able to pick up the abutting ground on the Mallina Basin to where the string of gold resources occur. And that's probably one of the most exciting issues. The reason that we got it was in deeper terrain. It had more alluvium covering that ground, and it wasn't going to be as cheap, or potentially as cheap, to discover ore bodies in that area.
The alluvium is a good thing in some ways. It means that less people have tried, but deep alluvium was the goldfields, right? The goldfields, not alluvium, but they had a big saprolitic sort of zone, right? And you're not going to find your prize within 50 metres in the early most cases.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's not an issue. But people got to remember that when De Grey had that project, they had all those historical pits already there. So the history of finding gold is not a mystery, but they had to find something to make that whole project work, in which is Hemi.
Yes,
sense, right?
spot on. And I think going back to the mantle, the thing that clicked with De Grey in about 2018, 2019 was the amazing discovery they made that in a mantle-derived, a high magnesium-rich diorite, clearly from the mantle, there was accompanying gold mineralisation. Never been seen before. And that really piqued my interest again in that area. And obviously for De Grey, it's been the Hemi discovery and the 8-9 million ounces that they have. There's no doubt that there are going to be more mantle-derived intrusives in that Mallina Basin. Discovery isn't going to be an easy step, especially with that alluvium over it, and regrettably there aren't a lot of airborne techniques or electrical techniques that one can use that can assist you in pinpointing. So it's a long, hard job, but for De Grey, it's paid off. For CAD, we're in the drilling phase now. We've got we're near the end of a 20,000 metre air core drilling program, and that one's going to show, well, hopefully, cross the fingers, some interesting scenarios.
In one of your announcements, the Robert Hill project, I think
Yes,
that's where the drilling is,
yes,
yeah?
yes.
And you've sort of earmarked that you had, I think, about 20 odd metres of
22 metres
of sulphides. So that, to me, I mean, we're not saying that you found Hemi number 2 or Hemi's godparents, but that means you've got mineralisation there, and it's clear that it is not restricted to one zone, so to speak. Would that be a fair statement?
As you and I both know, the occurrence of pyrite, the occurrence of sulphide is not unusual to be found in rocks. But there are some times when you look at an intersection of a continuous intersection, and you see abundant sulphides, that it becomes more than just ordinary. It becomes interesting. And I think this is what I feel is one of the main points about our drilling program. We didn't really have a great idea where mineralisation would occur, but the program we've done has shown up some interesting scenarios. So I'm comfortable that this is a significant identification. As you know, as I know, gold is where you find it. And technically, you can be as smart geologically as you want to be, but gold is where you're going to find it, not where someone can tell you where it is. So The sulphides, to me, are a great indicator. The quartz venation that we found in other places suggests good structural association as well. So, crossing the fingers that we're in elephant country. Let's see if we find the elephant.
And I'm not that familiar with the Pilbara because obviously there hasn't been a lot of history, recent history in terms of people exploring there. But one of the things I have noticed in the Pilbara is a lot of the parts you don't need. You're sampling the rock because you got bedrock and outcropping everywhere. So if you see mineralization in bedrock, then that it is what it is. In your area, in the Robert Hill project area, you mentioned that there's a fair amount of alluvium, which would strike to me as structurally there's a reason why there's an alluvium and not bedrock. Is that something that you guys take heart to in terms of your exploration?
Definitely take heart that the alluvium means no one has explored, and definitely take heart that it's alluvium that's over the exciting shear zones and potential structural traps of the Malina Basin. So that's really good. The other thing that we have found, surprisingly, is that it's not the alluvium isn't as thick as we originally thought. It's probably just been a case of being underexplored. The other thing that I guess I should mention about the Malina Basin and the gold mineralisation historically is that it has been always considered refractory, and that's been the biggest killer to a comparison, say, to Kalgoorlie or other parts. There's always been that impediment that the arsenic, antimony, other deleterious materials, mineralisation there would impact, and that's held it back. The work that's been demonstrated by De Grey and other explorers that have been lucky enough to find mineralisation is that it's not as refractory. Things move on over a period of time. What was refractory in the 1930s is retreated. Tailings, as you know, suddenly becomes worth pegging, and people go back there and retreat it and win metal out of the ground. So, yeah, I think this area is totally unexplored, and one of the things that surprises me is that Caeneus are the very first people to drill any form of drill hole on this ground. It's totally unexplored.
I guess that's probably the reasons people haven't really thought about the Pilbara as the goldfields. And, being refractory, I mean, most of the goldfields is refractory, and we're not hearing them crying about it. And I get that, because when I started looking at a lot of these things, and one of the things, is it refractory or not? But it's not such a big deal these days in some sense. And being refractory, most times it also means you're getting higher grades and the volumes can be bigger as well. And then let's say even if it was refractory, you might find 20 million ounce, and it's really not that, right? And a lot of people don't understand that. Is that from all the projects I've seen in the Pilbara, they are multi-million ounces kind of stuff, and that's probably a reason why. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. The opportunity to find a very large deposit exists in the Pilbara, and despite the early conglomeratic gold hoo-ha, I guess, that it has, I don't know whether it's helped the Pilbara or not, I'm not sure on that, but the opportunity to find lode gold in structural and intrusion related traps is very, very high and remains a great exploration potential.
Yeah, I guess, explorations strive on going to places where people have not been.
Yes.
And then when you get a few sniff, that's when things get exciting.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and you know, as I said, I looked at Calidus and Kairos and De Grey and all this, and even Artemis with their project down there. They are multi. Well, most of them are multi-million, but they're big numbers, right? They're not your 10,000 ounces or 50,000. There's six figures and up. Yeah.
The more I see of reading the reports and the more I see of our work that CAD is doing, the more I'm convinced that there's a new province, a gold province developing, Noel. And that Pilbara, I think, forget about iron ore, there may be something else that exists in that part of the world.
When you look at, and I'm pretty sure that you've had that look, and you look at Hemi and the discovery and the geology and what you guys are sort of interpreting and seeing on your side, are you seeing? I mean, I hate the word nearology because everyone is like, oh yeah, there's here comes another nearology play. But when you see some geology that has some similarities, and you can compare and contrast, that's a different type of neurology. Are you guys seeing some things like that when you look at your geology?
Looking for another Hemi, I guess, is really like looking for another needle in a haystack. They aren't necessarily easy. There's always uniqueness about any large deposit, whether it be diamonds or gold. We have the requisite intrusives. I'm hoping our drilling will confirm requisite drilling intrusives and mineralisation from preliminary air core drilling that will warrant us doing some much deeper diamond drilling. And I'm even contemplating at this stage that we might move from that exploratory air core work straight to diamond. We'll leave the percussion drilling out and go into cutting core as the next stage. So I'm actually right at the moment looking at another program of work to address observations that can't just be left for history.
I hope you guys listen to that few minutes there. That's quite significant in my view. But what is interesting for me is when I started going through your announcement and I ran past one announcement, I just saw the word 5,000 meters. I don't know, 5,000 meter program. Then I read it properly. It was actually 5,000 has been completed, but the whole program is actually 20,000 meters,
Yes.
which is significant, right? Not many. You don't go out and do 20,000 meters, air core or not. It's still a big program.
Yes, yes.
And I think to me, that says a lot about the program.
We have such a vast area, and as I say, this is the first time in the history of that area that it's ever been drilled. Air core, I'm not frivolous when I say it, but air core is the cheapest medium to drill, $17.50 a metre. We can cover large tracts of ground, and the idea of this drill program was to do essentially 300, but I have cut it back to 100 metre spacings in some locations. Essentially 300 metre spacings, covering a lot of ground, going down to point of refusal around the 90 to 120 metre mark to see what's there, and to assay in 4 metre intervals, maybe 1 metre if there seems any rationale to do so, and then collate all those results and see what the next phase is. As I say, I'm comfortable that we need to start looking at another deeper program to get a fuller understanding of what's there.
As you speak, when you talk about the program and things, I don't think I've seen this scale, this style of exploration for a while, because not many people. First, not many people go and spend 20,000 meters, and then when you're talking about drilling to blade refusal at 90 to 100 meters, that's like bronze wing drilling in my days, right? We were doing,
It is.
and I wasn't using air core, I was using RAB,
Yep.
and we would do 80 to 90 meters with that almost every hole. 60 meters was very, well, not common at all. But 80 to 100 meters, and I remember drilling to 120
Yep.
meters in RAB in those days to get to bedrock, right? And as we know, Bronson's a big,
Absolutely.
um, you won't use the word, big project, right? Big deposit. So, and that's why I sort of trying to get at is that 20,000 meter program is to me, vote some level of confidence in your thinking or what you guys are trying to do. It's not in piecemeal. You're not doing there to just, be there for the sake of being there, right?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. I think that the focus is that we recognise that Roberts Hill is a project. It's got ingredients that can't be left for 1 year and not another. There's an ongoing activity that needs to be done.
And when we talk about the Pilbara, I know we've been talking about that a lot, is that historically it hasn't been the place to go looking for gold, as we all know.
No.
What's the market telling you? I mean, obviously you talk to a lot of market participants and guys who've been in and out of that industry or in that sector. What are they telling you about the Pilbara now that we're getting a bit of bigger smoke?
Yes, it's very interesting. I would think that, say, the town of Port Hedland, for instance, would be intrigued at the discovery of gold in potentially economic scenarios. So much so that they now consider another leg of a tripod, perhaps, where rather than just iron ore and focusing on iron ore, and as you know, the prices of iron ore seem to change, and there's thoughts that, well, shall we make a steel works and value add in Port Hedland and see if that one can stabilise everything. Gold has created a new attention to the people of Port Hedland, to the thinking people of Port Hedland. And I think the Pilbara is about to embrace new discovery, I believe.
Because the Pilbara was the first gold rush.
It was, yes,
Yeah.
it was, most definitely. And as I say, distance from Perth, refractory nature of the mineralisation, the sporadic way it was out there, has been known for many years. And I guess if you were to talk to De Grey, they would give a very clear indication of the endurance and patience they've put in to developing up their project to where it is now. Rome wasn't built in a day. The Pilbara takes a while to get under that ferruginous crust and see what's there, from whether it be gold, diamonds, whatever, iron ore.
But as we've just discussed prior to us talking here, shareholders do feel that Rome was built in a day.
Yes, yes, they do.
With all the information that you guys are getting these days, would you say that better understanding now would put you guys in a better stead, for what you guys are doing up there as a company?
The company, Caeneus has grown quite a lot over the years. I've only been with CAD for just about 1 year, and I guess before that, I think it held this project since about 2018, but hadn't really done anything with it, and for obvious reasons it's doing now. I think we're getting a fair bit of recognition now that we're serious about evaluating this region. I might add that what is interesting is that Roberts Hill is part of abuts another area that we have called Mount Berghouse. Mount Berghouse is the name of our area, but it's also the name of De Grey's, a resource that De Grey have of gold mineralisation there, which would be part of the greater Hemi region that they keep talking about for what they're exploring for. Okay. So we have a lot more exploration to do as well in that region, something like 800 square kilometres I think that we've got covered in that region.
Okay. So going forward, what would the news flow be? What would be the investors out there be sort of hanging out for?
Well, I think initially we're going to complete our drilling imminently, and from there I think we will be able to make some observations about what we've seen. I hesitate to say that we'll have analyses back in September, which is almost over now, but I have a good feeling that by the end of October we'll have a lot of analyses back, gold analyses back, and we'll be able to compare and contrast our observations with those analyses. So there's going to be some crucial news flow in the October-November period.
Look, Robert, I mean, you come from that period of time where you literally had to go and find something for news flow as the project grows. I mean, we spoke about your time in Helix and you guys, so it's good to see, and I guess in some ways also, saying on that you are doing a 20,000 metre program gives me the feeling that, we're a real exploration play. It's either going to be hit or miss. That's the game. That's what exploration is. But it seems that at least you guys are giving it a good go, right? I guess in that sense. And it is pretty hot there now, so I don't envy you guys going out there.
It is warm.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, very much.
Look, Robert, any last words to those shareholders that, I've noticed your share price did come back a bit, and then it's sort of, gone back to where it was sort of there. Market cap's what, 64 million, I guess. Any last words to the guys out there?
Look, nothing really spectacular, Noel. I think it's clearly a case that if you are a shareholder, keep the faith. It's probably a good time either to just relax and wait for a news flow. But overall, I think the company is doing its darndest to create shareholder wealth for all those shareholders.
All right, Robert, we'll continue to follow your journey, and I'm looking forward to your results. I mean, 20,000 metres, a good few hits. We've had recently King West come and talk to us about their discovery in St Lawrence, where almost every hole in that line hit bedrock mineralisation. Let's hope we see the same with you guys.
Look forward to talking with you again.
All right, thank you.